Good morning, everybody. It's Friday. You know what we're doing today? We're recapping our week. We're not doing the wins and lessons. We're just going to have some fun, as we're always been having with us here. So, I'm your co host, Ryan Mohammed. This is Sales Chatter, the podcast with the mission of getting 10,000 reps to hit a million GP. With myself is my amazing co host, my man, President and CEO of RGTX Logistics Solutions, my main man, Jeff. How you doing this morning, brother?
Good, my man. It is Friday. It's finally here. What a great way to break up the week because we're all in logistics and we all need a laugh once in a while. So let's get to it and let's go.
Boom.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
And that's what we're all about. We're about the fun on Fridays. Like who really wants to talk about freight? I know we're all going to be up to our eyeballs in freight and those last minute requests that come through, but let's recap the week a little bit. So, Jeff, this week we had prospecting, and I thought it was impactful. It was important. Actually, let's leave it there. It was important. It was probably one of the most like I know Monday with our cold calling episode actually turned out to be the most downloaded episode that we've ever had. So I think we had over 45 plus downloads. So that means that we brought some value to people. People want to know, they want to up their game when it comes to cold calling. For me, the top three things I would like to say was definitely talking cold calling, talking with Dean. I always look forward to when we're doing themes with Dean.
I do too.
Just so that we can kind of get his aspect from it, right? His mindset from it, because he's just not a DAT data guy. He's a truck driver. Follow him at the Grumpy Pete on TikTok, Instagram. You get to see all his travels and things like that, and kind of get his opinions. And social selling was a big one. I wish we talked a little bit more about the video, but that's the cool thing about doing these themes. We can always kind of revisit these. So, Jeff, thoughts, recap on the week, my friend.
Yeah, and you'll agree with this. It's great to agree to disagree, which we do on many different subjects. That's what makes us mesh. It's great. It's so subjective when you talk about prospecting and the approach. Everybody is so unique in the way that they do things day in and day out, whether they're under management or they have their own job, their business, and how they want to attack what they do every single day. And that's what makes this industry so much fun. You learn from everybody every single day. And there's things that you may not have thought of that all of a sudden you start thinking about is like, I never thought of that, and I think that's what we do this whole week. Yeah, it's great when you look at things. It just depends on that mindset. We talked about it months ago, having the right mindset and being able to do what you do, be able to hear the no's, because there's 90%, if not more no's than yeses, and how you drive for that yes, right? That's why you pick up that phone. But you can't say, I know there's a high probability I'm going to get a no on this call. No, you're looking and searching for that diamond in the rough called yes. I want to do some business with you. But it takes so much time to get there, no matter which approach you use.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's the one thing I've loved and I've learned about this whole week was that, just because my boss did it a certain way, just because I do it a certain way, doesn't mean that's the end all be all, and I believe that, hey, you should be learning from everybody, like reach out to people, have those conversations on LinkedIn just to really connect and find out how they're doing things and what kind of works for them. As we're going into next week, first episode on Monday, just kind of recap, and then we'll go into our fun notes. But Monday we'll be talking about quoting customers. So you've already prospected a lot, whether it be a month or two. We're going to be talking about your quoting, and then Tuesday, I believe we'll be getting into, hey, you've won the quote. What happens next? Do you shake? Do you get scared and be like, screw this, I don't want to do this anymore? But we'll kind of talk about that next week as we're kind of going into. Yep. It's awesome to kind of see. So Jeff, I know you didn't want to kind of share this, but I do want to let everybody kind of know that, hey, it was your birthday this past week. Just recap that for us. Give us some wisdom, man, because I know turning 45 is a big feat, and it's something that's important, and you can share that with everybody here.
So now you're making me feel old because I'm actually 37, but I mean, all right, I'll take it for what it is, but you know what? as you grow into this business and you age, um, I kind of reflect on where I was, where I have been, and where I am today. And I'll tell you, what a trip, man. I'm not out of it yet, guys. I still have all that energy that most don't have at my age. And it's so enjoyable. I'm so glad that I picked this career to do it as many years and decades that I've been doing it. It's just the people alone, man. There's so many good people out there, and I love talking with them and chatting with them. But my birthday is just another day, man. Another day in life, and yeah.
Yeah, I feel like because my birthday's on Christmas Day itself, birthdays to me are extremely special. Like my parents have always kind of made it like that big thing. So for me, it's like I always kind of make like a big deal out of it, even though it is a regular day, right? When you kind of think of it in the grand scheme of things. But you know, I know a lot of people say, hey, you don't wait for birthdays, you don't wait for like the new year to basically come on and try to do new things. But it's a good reflection though, like you're as old, you're the oldest person like you're in your life right now, right? Like this is as old as you're gonna be. So any kind of wisdom, like we've talked about prospecting. You had a birthday. I know you
Take
definitely
each day as it comes, man. Take each day as it comes. There is no promise for tomorrow, my friends. There isn't. The past is the past. The present is the present. Live in the present today. Look forward to tomorrow if you wake up. But today is the most important day of your life. It really is. Because you have that ability to live it any way that you want to. This is your time. This is your hour, your minute, your day. So, choose and use your time wisely, because time is
100%.
on the side. It
Time's
goes
on
by
your side,
fast.
and we're not done making. It's pretty cool there. And coming up this Sunday, Jeff, is probably one of my favorite holidays. Is Chinese New Year, Year of the Rabbit. I feel like I've been prepping for this week because I've been eating for some reason this whole week I've been eating dumplings and a lot of ramen. So I need to kind of switch that up a little bit. But for me, Chinese New Year, it's awesome to kind of see the connection. Hopefully. Maybe somebody wants to swing a red envelope my way. I won't complain about that. But let me ask you. Let's have some fun today. So let's see here.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
Let's go.
Some don't look forward to Chinese New Year for the one reason: we're in logistics. You know what happens in China, right?
See, this is why you're like the Debbie Downer. I'm talking
maybe
about.
happy for some, but
Nah, I forget that
maybe
noise. I'm
not
talking about
you
like
guys.
the chow mein, like the food, the experience, the amazing things that are about to happen. So, with that being said, let's a random question. Uh, let's see. Oh, this is a good one for you, Jeff.
Uh-oh.
If you were finally caught on your warrant for your arrest, what country would you relocate to and why? Not to say that Jeff has any warrants or anything like that. Maybe we don't
Well, it's been a long time since I had one. No, just kidding.
know.
Maybe a warrant for being a good person. I don't know, but that's a good question. I would probably go to Belize or Bora Bora and just do that Corona commercial and finally say, I get the photos in the ocean. Nobody's gonna find my ass. It's like that. I guess that's what I would do if I'm gonna go. Oh, I'm gonna go someplace beautiful, man. That's what I would do for sure.
So it's going to
And live
Belize.
it as long as I possibly can until they find where my ass is.
They got the tracking and everything's basically being tracked these days, right? So,
That's
if you're doing
that's
sales
why
chatter from Bora Bora,
get rid of this.
yeah, exactly. You get rid of that one thing. For me, it's kind of weird because I would miss the cold. So I'd want somewhere that I can because this is somewhere I'm gonna live, right? Not with a lot of snow. Where would I go? I don't know. I think I would, even though it's not really cold, but I'd probably go to Mexico, man. I'd probably go to Mexico, have
Really?
some fun there. Yeah, why not? Like Mexico's awesome. I love the food culture. Obviously, not a fan of the cartels and all that stuff, but
Oh no.
like nobody is, right? But I feel
Right.
like I'd blend in. I blend in pretty well there. So I'd love to go to Mexico. Would love to hear everybody else in the audience. Where would you relocate to? If you had to, you didn't have a choice, right? So kind of go from there. Um, Ooh, this is a good one. This is a good one for you, Jeff, because I know you're gonna have here. What's one ability that you believe that everyone should possess?
To empathize. I would say to empathize, the ability to empathize with one another. I think that's missing because a lot of people out there just take things for granted and they don't really understand what happened. And they just don't have that in them. You know what I mean? To be empathetic. And I think that, in the world in which we live in, especially in the logistics industry, empathy is a big factor. And I think a lot of people miss the boat on that.
I agree with that. I agree with that quite a bit. I think for me, what I would choose is not the ability or the feeling of always feeling heard and understood. And I think that's a big feeling because, regardless of what kind of descriptions you want to give it, whether it be alpha males or beta or whatever, or work, everybody should have that opportunity to be feel like understood and heard,
Yeah, and
regardless of
that's
what they're.
empathy.
Yeah.
That's
Well, it's a feeling for them. It's them feeling that, not empathy for others. Yourself kind of feeling
but
that.
I'm
So
saying being able to understand what's being said and heard. You know what I'm saying? And then being able to um, correspond in the right response to that. You know what I mean?
exactly.
A lot of people just talk, but they're not heard.
Yeah.
They're pretty much silenced. And it's like that, having that seventh sense of being able to identify that, and being able to react in the right way. I think that's important. I think that's all grouped together. What you're saying and being empathetic, I think it all falls in that same bucket.
Yeah, it could. It could. I see it as differently, but hey, we agree to disagree. So
Absolutely.
next one for you here. That's a nice one. What's the fanciest event that you've personally ever attended?
I would say my wedding, but no.
Actually, funny enough, now that I think about it.
No, but I think the Army Navy game and being around all the dignitaries before that party, and being with generals and dignitaries and government officials and all that kind of stuff under one tent, and interacting with them and dressing up before the game. I mean, I think that was pretty neat. That was, a lot of people don't get to do that. Sure, they go to the Army Navy game and they sit in the stands, but I mean, behind the scenes and going to this other stuff, that was pretty cool. I would say besides my wedding, that would probably be it.
Yeah. There's no. For me, let me see here. I've got to say weddings, because like our weddings in our cultures are like huge. Like they're not a regular like kind of wedding that you've ever been to. Like they're like a 4 or 5 day celebration. Couple $100,000 are being spent. They definitely do not waste any time with that. So for me, I would definitely say weddings. Definitely have some really, really cool weddings for sure, because like I'm Canada, you're the US. We don't really kind of have that army kind of. We don't really. I'm not gonna say we don't care, but it's not big for us here. We don't really
Right.
kind of, because we're kind of like the one thing that we learned, Jeff, in history class, is that Canada, the Canadian army, is like they're more as like peacekeepers. So like our guys are not going to war.
Oh, yeah,
Our guys
yeah,
are not,
yeah.
So
Oh,
it's
no,
kind of like.
I get it, because remember, I'm half French Canadian and English.
Well, boo, like French Canadian sucks, but with that said, it's kind of funny because it's funny to actually have a conversation, because the Quebecois, they're kind of funny, because we have the Bloc Quebecois, who's a political party in Canada, and they're in Quebec. Anybody who's looked at a map of Canada, I don't know if they still want to do this, but like when I was a kid growing up, like they literally want to separate from Canada. So that's like two, like imagine you had a burger and like
That's where my family's from.
yeah, see, like it makes no sense. Like, why would you want to do that? But Montreal is a hell of a place to go to. I haven't been to Ottawa. I know Nerf was telling me that he's been to Ottawa quite a bit, but Montreal is a fun place to go and party, man. It's one of the.
Have you ever been to London?
Nobody goes to London, man. London's about 2 hours for me. London is.
I used to go there all the time when I North Winds Farm. That's where one of the Kentucky Northern Dancers buried up there, the Kentucky Derby winner, because we had the horses, of course. And then I also showed dogs, and we used to go up there. I used to hop into my truck right after work and head up to London, Ontario, Canada, right after work, and get there at 3 o'clock in the morning, set up, show my dogs, and hunt my dogs early in the morning. and then leave late Saturday night, come back to New Jersey. Man, that was a lot of fun. You know, I should have. My wife says you should have been a truck driver. And I was like, hell no, man.
You know what's crazy? I think like for me, had I known what I know now, when I was single and coming out of, because I finished up my college diploma and I didn't want to do accounting, which I majored in. I would have become a truck driver, man. You get to get
Really?
paid to like drive around. Yeah, because like now that I know that, a it's pretty lucrative. Like like I don't know about the times then, maybe like 15, 20 years ago, but it's like, you get to travel. I've heard so many cool stories, and not necessarily like I never knew about logistics, right? So it would be kind of cool to kind of see the world, right? Like I never been able to kind of really do that. It's kind of funny. My wife always kind of makes a joke that my hands are really soft, and I always kind of make a joke and say, "Yeah, I've only had office positions. I've never done hard work in my life." So with that being said, actually segues into this next question, and I didn't pick this, but Jeff, what traits did you get from your parents?
To be a hard worker, to be kind, again, empathetic, to stay firm on your judgments. Almost like Rocco says, you have your two choices, right? And you're the ultimate decision maker on your destiny and what you're going to do. So it's like if you go hard. I learned that from my dad. My dad worked until he was like 75 years old. He was just a go-getter, and he was always working. So I would say that mentality to keep your finger on the pulse and have your foot on the gas, and enjoy that ride. It's like I have this saying, when it's time to go and leave this earth, I want to slide into my grave and say, holy shit, what a ride. I mean, seriously, that's the way you should really live your life, man. That's the way that I look at it. There's a time to be tired, and then there's a time to be tired.
I get that. I like that. I think for me, the big thing is I've loved my family life growing up. Like, my parents work. The cool thing about my parents, and now that I reflect on it a lot, I do that these days now that I'm getting older, like closer to their age and stuff like that, when they had kids and so on. But they worked hard and they worked so much, but we never saw it as kids. Like they always made time for us. I tell this to everybody. I had the best childhood that anybody could ever had. My parents were always available to us. And funny story for you, Jeff. It's always I think I understood this maybe 3 months ago, and it was a mind fuck to me. My dad was actually a shipper and receiver. My dad was a logistics manager in his first Toronto job, and it didn't piece to me. So he worked downtown as a shipper and receiver for women's clothing, like nightgowns and stuff like that. They're called Algo Industries, and they were the heart of downtown. And that's what he did. He shipped. Like I would go with him sometimes, maybe twice a year. I would go with him, and that's because we're either going to go see wrestling, like WWE's in Toronto, or we're going to go see a Raptors game or a Blue Jays game that like right away. But anyways, it was kind of like
subconsciously he set the seed.
But that's the thing, like I never expected that, like it was crazy to kind of think. And then he moved on to like another office, and he did that, and I was like, oh my God, my dad is a shipper. My dad's a logistics manager. It was kind of cool. So we kind of bonded over that when we were golfing a little bit more, just talking about it and things like that, and how your paths are. I'll ask you this, like in our religion, I'm not trying to be religious here, but just so you know where I'm coming from, Jeff.
Sure.
In our religion, in Hinduism, we believe that your whole life before you're born, it's planned out for you. It's written already. And you just got to find that. But everything, like choice by choice, whatever choice you take, it's already been planned. Like everything's done, right? And for me, there's a lot of things that happen that I'm like, this is so coincidental. This is so weird to happen. What are your kind of thoughts on like some moments when you catch yourself and you're like, this is weird, man. This is planned.
We have a saying, deja vu.
Yes.
And basically, you're in. It's happened quite a bit with me, where you're in there and you swear to God that you lived that. For some reason, it's like, and I said to my wife, "Were we here before?" or something like that. I mean, it was just like that really weird feeling, because I kind of believe that, our destiny is set when we're born. I believe that, and I also believe that. Obstacles and challenges are thrown in there to make you as a stronger person, and the more obstacles and challenges that you face builds a stronger, viable character for you to pursue whatever you need. So I invite problems. I really do, because it helps you to build yourself as a better person. Just imagine the person that lives their life without any problems. I
No,
don't know who
you
does
don't.
that, but I'm just
That's like
saying,
a light with like no darkness.
right?
Yeah.
Because you've heard the saying, history repeats itself, right? How many times have you heard that?
Hmm.
So every step in the logistics industry, every step you take, every excuse you make is going to hurt you. You know, let sounds like a song, right?
Yeah, you got some Phil Collins going on here.
Right. And the thing is that when you finally see that light and understand why that problem hit you and came in front of you, you're going to see a whole different spectrum about the industry. You know, it's not that you should be upset about it. You know, I did. I mean, just real short. You know, I had high blood
Yeah.
pressure because I used to take everything to heart, and then one day, I just said, I'm not going to give a shit. I mean, I'm just being honest, right? It's like there's things that you should be worried and concerned about, and then there's other stuff that you should just let it pass because it's totally out of your control. And you know that I've said it, and you've said it as well. Control the controllables. Things that can be controlled, focus in on that. The stuff that's like act of gods, something like that that you cannot control, let it go. Let it go. Don't take it personally, because you'll never survive in the logistics industry if you take everything to heart. I did that in the beginning, you know, and my blood pressure is fine now because I changed that mindset. But you have to. I'm serious. I mean,
And that's one things you learned, you know. I remember like even for like let's say a driver, they didn't get loaded on time or something like that, and you're running around with your head cut off when I was first got started as operations, and I'm like, you know what, the biggest lesson I've learned when it comes to situations like that, like acts of God, time heals all. You know, just let it breathe. You know, it's gonna happen the way it needs to happen. You know, it's like anybody says, "Hey, we've been waiting here for like a couple hours." Okay, get loaded. We'll pay you. Like, don't worry about everything. You know, like it's gonna happen. You know, it's not like they're sitting there wasting their time, like not wanting to load your truck, right? It's
right.
something would have happened to them prior, right? And kind of go from there. And you know, I love that you said that taking things to heart, because that's the one thing that we learn. Logistics in my life, Jeff, has like helped me in my personal life. You know, the things of
Sure.
being a salesman, and it's not just about people think like, oh, you're in sales, like, oh, you can negotiate properly. You know, when you're gonna go buy your new house or your new car, that's not what it's about. But for me, it's about understanding relationships and people. And started to give a plug again to this, but Toastmasters has helped me with that so much, right? Being able to have conversations with people that I would never even talk to before. You know, just open that door for me. And I think when it comes to it, talking about like how our life are plans and we're kind of guiding through that journey, nothing happens by um, nothing happens by mistake. Everything's kind of planned out. It happens by purpose to kind of guide you and kind of go from there.
Yeah, you know, the thing is that, and I said this again, and I can't reiterate it anymore. Um, in this position, depending upon what role that you have in logistics, you literally have to be a psychologist, or have a chameleon type personality. And I say that with all good nature, because when you think about it, the people that you interact with, connect with, and everything, they're so different from each other. So you have to be able to adapt to them. You know, it's like prospecting as well. You know, the adaptability, how quick can you change from the right to the left and be able to interact with that individual differently. You know, that's why scripts don't work, number one, because it doesn't fit all that. So the thing is that chameleon type personality, where you can shed that skin and become a different color in order to be congruent with that person, individual, prospect, whoever you engage with. You know, could be in Walmart, could be whatever. You know, you're listening more, talking less, and that's how you get into that engagement, because your mind subconsciously is changing and adapting to that personality in order to get your foot in the door or pursue further conversations with that individual. So, I
Yeah.
mean, you really have to have that ability to do that, for sure.
And then the
So
ability
that,
to listen and understand that things don't happen right away, right? I think since I've come to this third job where I'm at right now, I've understood the thought of playing the long game. I've been here for close to 4 years now, and every place that I was before, I was only there for maybe a year doing sales. So 365 days as opposed to 3 4 years, I have stuff materializing from like year one that I'm like, normally I would have been like, forget these guys, right? And it's just being understood, like their time. And I love what DJ kind of brings up here. That's all smiling when he typed it in. It's like, when you get what you want, that's God's direction, and when you don't get what you want, that's God's protection, and trust the process. And I couldn't agree with that even more. It's so true. You just kind of, like you said, you got to control the controllables and thing from there.
Yes.
Jeff, talk to me about gut feelings. What are your thoughts on gut feelings?
Go with them. Go with them. It's like you try to live life without regrets. But I have this saying that I've said for many, many years. Don't go through life and say, but only if I shoulda, coulda, I would have tried it, but I never did, so I'll never know what it's like.
Mm-hmm.
Get that out of your head. Get it out of your head. You feel that you want to really do it, do it. Don't have that regret, and I can roll that off my tongue really, really fast. Some people would get tongue twisted on that, but for me, that's the way that I live. If I feel strongly about doing something, I'm going to do it. It's like some people like look at the risk factor and everything like that. If there's something feeling in you that something's going to happen, go with it. It's your instincts, and you build that up over years of experience when certain situations go up. And you're supposed to remove the emotions out of the data that you supply when you're trying to move the peanut forward and make a business profitable. But then there's the other side where you've lived that that issue, that problem, and your gut automatically goes, it's time to speak, and you go and do it. I think it's very important. Listen to your inner self.
I think so too. I'm a big believer in going with your gut feeling, and I love that you said that. Just go after it. If you had something, a thought in your head, it's time to put that. Not say I don't want to make him up, but like making action, like mindset, things like that. But if you have a gut feeling about someone, something, place that you work, even some like different things in life, always kind of go with it, because when you let a gut feeling linger, is when like it's just gonna build up and then it's gonna explode, right? And then you're gonna be like, ah, shit, I wish I did this like 5 days ago, or I wish I did this like 7 days ago, and things like
Exactly.
that. So, Daman is somebody who's I engage these conversations because of people like Daman and DJ and yourself in these conversations, because I know we're going to get to a deeper level with these conversations. And what Daman brings up here, it's important to keep in mind, sometimes the best things in life are at the top of the mountain. Let's go. Don't give up if you feel it's difficult. They're usually signs that you have growth to do. And I truly believe that.
But it's how you get to the top of that mountain that counts.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's not how you get to the top. It's just getting to the top mountain.
You're not going to get to that mountain, the top, just like that. It's those steps. It's that gut feeling. It's that experience. It's that knowledge base that allows you, where some people take half steps, some people can take 2 or 3 steps at a time and be willing to fall back too, but still, have that determination and drive to keep climbing until you get there. And when you get to that top, you know how you got there. And then that's what you try to share with others, that knowledge sharing base of saying, it's not an easy ride. The top of the mountain is million steps. Are you willing to climb and fall on your face and be able to get up to continue to move forward? That drive. And I guess you talk about the skills and everything. How did you get them? What your parents gave you? It all has to do with that. Somebody helped you, told you, embedded, made your mindset the way it is, that enables you to go and do so. Doesn't matter what it is, that's your goal, objective. You're going to do whatever it takes to get there. And that's the mindset you have to be in logistics. Yeah, you have to do that, especially on the sales side. Go, 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 go.
I think
say it.
a little bit disagree with that too, because I feel like, hey, we all have different mountains and we all have different things that we're trying to climb, right? So let's say you've climbed the mountain, and like you said, there's no end in here, but let's say you climb the mountain and you share that blueprint with somebody else, and it's like, well, hey, when I look at a blueprint of how somebody did something, I'm not looking to like follow in their steps. I'm looking to be like, okay, what can I take and add, and then make my own steps, and that's what's important. Like we're talking about prospecting this week. I'm constantly always a person who says I use video all the time. Video gives me the best response rate and the best close rate, period. For somebody else, they might be like, no, I'm not doing video. I'm not comfortable with showing my face on a camera or something like that. I'm going to make those cold calls. I'm going to make 100 cold calls. And, we're all going to kind of get to our own kind of, like we said, we're all going to get to our own mountains here. And, when Damon kind of brings it here, when we look back, and I think for me, when I look at life and look at the mountain, comparison, Jeff, it's not just logistics. Like there's more to my life than logistics. I know we're a logistics podcast show, but for me it's like logistics is maybe 20-30% of my life, if that. It's just not something that and that's why I enjoy what I do, being a seller and things like that. But let's get to David's comment here. It's when we look around ourselves in lives and we see what we're capable around us, we know inside to just get over the bumps. And I love that because Daman is somebody who lives through this. I always have to thank Daman for this because he put me onto Alex Ramosi. He's the only content, him and Jay Shetty are the only content creators that I consume. And definitely recommend anybody, definitely check out Alex Ramosi. He's built up amazing businesses and he has a lot of stuff that's transferable. But Jeff, like, I want to kind of get back to gut feelings because, like always trust them. Have you ever trusted them in business and it's gone wrong for you?
Sure. Just because it worked for you in the past doesn't mean that it's going to work for you in the present, But the only way you find that out is if you take that risk and that chance and you pull that trigger and make it happen. It's another thing I said some time ago, there's things in college when you look at case studies and what you're learning and every day of predictable scenarios in logistics and supply chain that happen. It's another thing to have the street smarts and actually be in that position where you have to pull the toggle switch or what toggle switch to click on and off at certain times. That will come with people who graduate college and they get into the field. It will take some time to do that, so you'll have that ability, but it doesn't really teach you that. It really doesn't. That's why I always say that people in sales that are in brokerages and everything like that, part of their training should be, going to a warehouse or a distribution center, going on site and watch what happens, what clicks at warehouses and DCs to understand the complexity of it, because I think it's just lost knowledge that needs to be gained for anybody in this industry, so that they just have that wealth of knowledge and say, I understand what you're talking about. Not saying I understand what you're talking about, but really don't, but you're just feeding them what they want to hear, So, that's all I can say on that.
Yeah, if a week goes by, Jeff, and you don't mention that every new rep should be doing this, then I'd be like, "What's wrong with you? Is something okay? Like you taking your meds today, Jeff? It's something that you believe in. It's something that you strongly believe in. And I love it.
I've been there. That's why I say it all the time.
Well, the one thing too that you still kind of gotta understand. That's why I love to have these conversations with you, because it's like just because that was your journey and the way that you saw it, it's not going to be the journey for everybody else, right? It's not going to be.
No.
Yeah, it's not going to be beneficial. Like for me, full transparency, I have no interest in doing that, but I can be successful in building relationships and connecting with that person. As Damon kind of says, like you look at health, right? I know for myself, like I'm sitting down on the couch, sitting on this chair. I need to get one of those desks that move up and down. I know you've mentioned that you want to get the treadmill to go on there.
Oh my God,
health is crazy, man. It's one of those things that we often push off. And
I used to be in shape.
We'll get the bodybuilding pictures
to be in shape.
from there. We're kind of putting there, and I love that because we're able to have these amazing discussions and know that, hey, there's no right or wrong. People can go ahead and take subjective, right?
Very much so. But I say this with high confidence, being on that side and coming on sales. And then you have the sales, but they haven't been on that side. A majority have not been on that side. So I have the knowledge of both sides. That's what I try to share on that.
Mhm.
that value knowledge, of knowing something that you don't. And if you did, there's a high possibility that it would be very beneficial to you and your business if you had a better understanding. It's just like, read this book. Why? Because it's got some really good stuff. Well, that that's what you
Opinion.
think. How
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
I'm going to, you know what I'm saying?
Thank you. Thank you.
So it worked for you, but not. But when you work and you've been in that area, some people can't say that. I can, because I'm a receiver of those phone calls from sales guys. Now I'm on the sales side and I'm giving that. If you have that understanding on that side, I'm telling you, it's very beneficial. I can almost guarantee it.
Yeah.
There's something special about that side that will just give you the upper hand.
And there we go. It's awesome to kind of talk about here. Jeff, give everybody a little bit of a teaser of what we got kind of for next week as we're talking about closing, getting your first customer. That's
Yeah, it's going to be great. We're talking about quoting. We're talking about negotiations. What's the next step? How do you collaborate? All different kinds of good stuff.
yeah, it's gonna be tons of fun. And like we said, we're here to give back the feedback. One thing I've been really proud about, Jeff, is not gatekeeping what I use. Able to, if anybody wants to know what I use and things like that, and kind of like my methodology, it's free. It's not here for me to gatekeep and be like, hey, let me keep the secret or things like that. And you're
Right.
the same way too. It's awesome to share what we have. Other than, I just kind of want to go back to what you kind of said about like the book reference, because I've done a lot of trainings like that, where it'd be like sales training, and I'm like, this doesn't. Yeah, this doesn't work for me. I've done so many different trainings, whether
Oh,
it be Skillshare or Page, and it's just like you're gonna. Here's what I find that works the best, Jeff, is if I was to read a book and you were read to the same book, we're both gonna pick out some parts that we really like, and then we're actually gonna action it, right? But it's gonna be different. We're all gonna. It's based on our life experiences, our work experiences, our family lives. We just know in our head what we're gonna pick out and what's gonna resonate with us. Right, for me, like we said, not to beat a horse all the time, but if I read a
right.
book about family values and going to dogs or doing different things, it's those things would resonate with me because I can relate to those things. People always want to be relatable, and I think that's one of the most important things that we always have to kind of keep in mind too. So with yourself, like you said, you've been on the other side, you know what it's like, like I don't, I have no idea what it's like, but i can I can learn that from like the logistics managers, the conversations that we have, right? And to understand what their day looks like, what they kind of do it. Because it's funny, I was actually talking to, not to monopolize this, but I was
Oh,
talking to a
no,
logistics manager like on Tuesday, and I kind of hit him with the line. I was like, you must be getting blasted with like 30 to 40 calls or like emails every day. And he was like, no, you're literally like my first one for the week. And this was like 3 o'clock on Tuesday. And I was like, God
so
bless, God bless. Let me
was he
be
a
that.
big shipper or a small shipper?
He was a big shipper. They do about
That's
his spend
pretty.
was about
That's
200
finding a
200
diamond.
million dollars. But
That's
the
finding
cool thing
a
is that,
diamond is rough.
and that's what I'm here to find, right? That's the kind of, but you know what? I led that with video, and then we went to a phone call and kind of things with that. But anyways, I think let's getting back to it. Actually, what are we? We're at 38 minutes. I kind of want to keep this conversation going
Oh,
because
keep
you've
going.
really,
Keep
let's
going.
going.
I'm fine.
Data versus life experience. So on one side, you've got the data. You're checking the freight waves. You're watching DAT. You're watching our show every Wednesday, and you're watching Dad IQ show.
Right.
Versus picking up the phone, making those 1,000 calls, making those emails, and actually talking to people within the industry. What do you weigh better, Jeff?
Well, again, I'm a kind of guy that takes the emotions out of the decision making as long as that I have clear, decisive data in front of me that tells me a story. All right. Data has to tell a story about something. And that something is what you're looking for. So you have to know where to look to gather that information in order to share, to make a concrete decision based on that. And that would come directly from the customer, right? You want to get to know them, their lanes, what they're doing, why they're doing, all different things. From claims to, I could go into this for hours, but I won't. Just data itself. So when you get on their same wavelength, you are fighting them with their own data. It's not yours, right?
Mhm.
And it depends on how you analyze that, slice and dice it, and serve that plate. Because one thing that's clear is that they would want to know more about their business than what other people are doing. You know what I'm saying? Because it's true, it's valuable, it's theirs, it's nobody else's. So if you can pick apart that and then bring in your emotions on that, saying, if you did this, if you changed that, or whatever. So that's like the extra value. And of course, you can relay that to other experiences that you've had, and what the results were. They will not all be the same, but yeah, that's the way that I do it. I mean, I just love taking. I mean, there was one time where we did 65,000 loads in a quarter. It's a lot of loads, right? When I was with
What does that
Panasonic.
work out to? That's a lot, but that's like almost like 20,000 a month.
Right. Well, you think about all, you're looking at all different modes of transportation, different facilities that I was in control with. And so basically, I had to lock myself in a room for 3 days and slice and dice it by mode and drill into it, and then be able to give that information to each facility operations wise, as far as timing, release days of orders, big time stuff, And
So
I
this
had
was as a logistics manager, or this was as you being like a freight
this
specialist?
was when I was the procurement manager
Oh,
for.
okay. Whew, you
Yeah,
got me scared because
I'm
I'm
not,
thinking about myself. I shit myself.
yeah,
Somebody gives me a six.
when I was when I was the North American procurement manager for Panasonic,
Mm,
all of it, it's a lot of freaking work. If you think about
65,000 loans.
when you think about it, every Best Buy, every Walmart in the country. I mean, and
Everybody,
then you got that.
Target, yeah,
Well, you
crazy.
got that. They were the world's largest battery
Yes.
manufacturer, and distributor. So, yeah, and then they had the auto part business as well. So, I mean, all the divisions, everything, just it adds up rather quickly.
Yeah,
So,
it's not what we see, right? Because like when we go to the store, we're like, oh,
you
Panasonic, they're
know,
probably like the lower level. But then you look at the like there's so when you go on their website and you see like what they actually do, it's like so
yeah,
65,000 loads in 3 months.
yeah, it was, and then you had receipt of goods, and it had to be there at a certain time, the end of the month, and everything. And so you're coordinating all this stuff day in and day out. It's funny. And when I walked into Walmart or Best Buys and I looked at my wife, I go, I put that
Yeah,
there.
I've done. I did that at Costco last Friday with my wife. Yeah, I was like, I did this. I did this. It was me. I made her actually take a picture with me, and I went like this, like peace out, and then I sent it to my customer because I was like, "What's up?" Like I know exactly when this delivery came in and things like. But though, that's one of the
It's
best feelings.
it's the best feelings, but when you're in control of all the modes,
Oh,
every single
that's
mode, and you've got to break it down, and then you got to optimize, and you got to do all this kind of stuff, man. I was just me, man. Just a lot of
just the
freaking stuff.
bodacious cowboy, just riding his saddle there, and making it happen, and that's amazing to kind of see. Jeff, what are you getting up to this weekend, my friend?
Absolutely nothing, man. I went to AC for my birthday last weekend, and this weekend, nothing, man. Seriously, I mean, you got to take those kind of time. Not that I'm overworked and underpaid, so I got to do something. So I try to take me time. This is the year of me time.
Year of me time.
I enjoy what I do every single day, man. It's not a job; it's an adventure. And on the weekends, I think Gunnar Miller said that, make the weekends every single day of the year. I've been doing that for a long time. A Monday is a Saturday and Sunday. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. Just
See,
go
I
about.
tried that, but then when I told my wife I'm gonna go get plastered at the bar on Wednesday night, she's like, "No, you can't do that." So you got to kind of keep that
I
from
don't
there.
drink during the week. I know,
Yeah,
and
no, I'm just joking about that.
I'm not a weekend warrior at all. I mean, just remember this. I'll put things in perspective, and this is funny. Way back in the day, in the 80s, we used to have liquid lunches when we were working. We smoked in our offices. We went out to lunch with the bosses. We went to local bar. We had bar food. We drank beers, everything. I mean, a whole different. The evolution is just completely off the chain. And, it was part of doing business. You went out with
It
the
was.
customers, the carriers. liquid lunches, man. That's what we used to
Liquid
have
lunch.
all the time.
Well, it's wild that you say that because like before I got into logistics, I worked for like a Google type company. So they were downtown Toronto, and we had the ping pong tables, we had the beer fridges. So like legit, like on a Tuesday, any day, you can literally go into the beer fridge, grab a beer, sit down, and like nobody bats an eye, and it's crazy to kind of think about just the different mindsets from there. Jeff,
And
you got something?
work done too. Back
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
smoking in there, Hey, remember,
Were you on Mad Men?
no computers, none of this, no phones,
Yeah,
nothing.
we got typewriter or something. Or how'd you guys?
We did. Yeah,
See.
kicking ass. I mean, just literally kicking ass back in the day. It can be done.
Yeah. Of course. You just gotta cut the
and
distractions, and smoke and stuff like that. Jeff, you got a really cool thing happening today. Let everybody know what you got going on for everybody to.
Yeah. Finally going back to my crib where it all started, and I earned my stripes. So I'm going to be on What the Warehouse with Craig Collins from Granite WMS, and it's great because it was the foundation, the concrete of what made me today, and what I did back then, and how I got to where I am right now. And I wouldn't have changed it, from broken fingers, broken backs, 4 hernias. I wouldn't change a damn thing, man. It was one of the best things I ever did in my whole entire life, and my wife started it. She did.
So what time is it, and how is it going to be a live,
It's
or is it going to be like a
at
pre-record?
10:30. It's a pre-record, so I'm not really sure when it's going to be released, but we're going to go through the evolution of what I saw back then.
Yeah, as Jeff's internet kind of cuts out. Maybe they didn't have internet when he was doing his liquid lunches. No internet during liquid lunches.
How to get a proper system so you don't get cut off in the middle of a podcast.
Yeah, I feel like you're due for like those 45 minutes, and then anything after is awesome. So it's gonna be a pre-record
today in the evolution of what transpired over that time. It's pretty amazing.
Awesome. So we're going to be looking forward to that. Definitely we'll let everybody know when it comes out live.
Yep.
I want to thank everybody for coming out this whole week. This week has been fun. I know it's been a short week with Monday being MLK Day. And we're kind of looking forward to seeing everybody next week. If you found value, and I know a lot of you guys did because you guys downloaded the podcast so many times, please like and share this, and let us know. Let us know what you like and what you don't like, because we're always here for feedback. With that being said, please catch a replay at 12 and 3 p.m. Eastern Time on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We'll be back on Monday for Monday Mayhem, but we're going to be discussing quoting. So tune in on Monday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. We're your hosts, Ryan Muhammad, my man, Jeff Dickinson. Let's go. Take care, everybody. Be safe this weekend.
Have a great weekend, guys. See you Monday.